We need to regroup. We got some new tools, but we ain't got room for them. Our friend Troy was so generous and sent us this metal brake because he's seen the struggle. We will definitely be putting that to good use around here, but we have to make a stand for it, which brings me to our next new tool. This box here was sent to us from Vevor. Tough tools, half price. I like it. I think what we can do is open this box here. Where'd I put my knife? Oh. All right, sorry, I got distracted. So what I'm thinking, what we could do today is use what's in this box to make a stand for this. But like we were saying, we don't have any room for anything else. Like, where the heck am I gonna put another stand with a tool on it? And then I got to thinking, I never really finished my welder cart over here. I started making it out of this Matco tools cart. I always wanted to take the welder and move it to the bottom to give me more room to work on the top. And what's in this box here will fit right next to that welder down there. I think we could use this plasma cutter to get the plasma cutter and the welder down on the bottom of that cart. And as far as this metal brake, what if we attach it right to the front of this thing? And that gives us a place for both that new plasma cutter and the metal brake right here in an area that's already getting taken up by the welding cart. Who walks around with a dull pocket knife? My grandpa would definitely not be proud. We'll give that a tickle with a sharpener later. I like to throw things around, sorry. Instructions? This is a whole lot smaller than I was expecting. So I'm not sure how thick a metal this thing claims to cut. If we looked in these instructions, it would probably tell you. Put the ground clamp on it. That was easy. So this will run on 240, or with this adapter they give you, it'll run on 120. That'll definitely limit the capabilities of the machine, of course, but it can be done. So the torch, I don't know if that's a technical term for it. I've never owned a plasma cutter. I've used them, I've never owned one. I'm gonna call that a torch. This must be the pilot. The other thing we need for a plasma cutter to work is air. They give you some hose for that, some Teflon tape, and a regulator, water trap, filter guy, gas, air. Okay, here's one thing that I don't like. This pressure gauge, it's not in PSI. It should be in PSI. This is America. The torch here, it's nice and long. I like that. Weird part is the ground is not nearly as long. One would think it would make sense for the torch and the ground to be the same length. That is not a huge deal though. And if it ever is, I could extend the ground. That's no problem. Got a couple barb fittings. Put those on our regulator here. Making sure we're going in the right direction. So we got this bracket for this guy. I don't know if it's supposed to go here or not because, well, through the instructions, but it looks like it'll go perfect on these two screws right here. So that's where I'm putting it. Got some hose clamps here that are way too big. Our regulator is marked in and out. Just got to give it a little trim job. Watch your fingers. And we'll hook one up to the end. We got plenty of extra hose here. What we don't have is any sort of connection to the air compressor. Huh. That's right, I'm sure I got some. Since we're gonna put it in the bottom of this cart, I'm thinking maybe we can run that extra hose up somewhere where it's easy to attach. We don't gotta bend over. Somewhere back here maybe. But at the same time, this thing is so small and you can just move it around to wherever you want. I probably don't want to permanently attach that to the cart, because there'll be times I just want to grab this and pull it over here or over there and not have to move that big cart around. We'll figure that out as we go. We got these brackets, and what I think that they're for is they go here and here, maybe so we can wrap our things around. They give you enough extra of this, that's for sure. We're gonna go ahead and take care of that. Nothing that some zip ties won't fix. Flush cutters. Always flush cutters. We don't want to leave any razor blades on this dang thing. Nice and flush. These funny looking things, they snap on the tip as a guide. All right, check this out, guys. So I was looking around for a fitting for the air compressor, which, by the way, I found. But I also found a gauge that reads in PSI. Then I found these clamps here, that one and that one, and they unsnap, so you can actually take this out. Or put it back in. I have no idea where these came from, why I have them. But what I did was I cut the little pin out of the bottom where this would normally like snap into a hole. Drilled a hole where we could use that existing screw. I think that'll work out pretty good. New day, new plan. Well, it's our first plan, but I got an idea. I want the welder and the plasma cutter down there, kind of like that. That area was just kind of a catch-all. So those have a home down there. I'll have a workspace up here now, bigger than I did. And I have this heavy-duty hinge. That's out of a wheelchair accessible minivan. They tend to break on the end here. And what I'm thinking is putting it back here so we can have another section that flips up, making it a bigger work area. I like that idea, because it'll still sit over there where it was, not taking up any more room than it did, but we have a ton more work area to do stuff. As far as that metal brake, what I'm thinking is making brackets right on the front of this thing, so this can mount right to the front of it, flush with the top, so it's permanently mounted somewhere where we could roll it around wherever. It's not taking up any more room. And on the back side of it, we'll have this entire table for sheet metal to lay on if we're bending something big. Only problem I see with that is that we'll have to store this up like that. And I don't think I'm gonna like that. But if we stored it down, these handles will be sticking out. So we'll have to figure that out too. But I think we got a good idea to start with. We will need to cut this out and reinforce that. But that needs to be cut out so we can open the welder. But I like how the controls are up front and everything inside the welder is accessible from the end here. So here's what we got so far. I ended up taking the original top off the toolbox, tool cart, and replacing it with MDF. Yeah, I know it's flammable. We're gonna actually wrap that in sheet metal, just like this messy workbench. And I split that probably 60-40. I welded that heavy duty hinge on here. That works out pretty well, actually. I got the welder and the new plasma cutter under here, and I welded this angle on the front of the toolbox so we can mount this Vevor metal brake right on here, and it's flush with the top. So we'll be able to throw a pretty big sheet of something on there and bend her up. So we're gonna have to fire up that new plasma cutter, put it to the test, because we're gonna have to finish making the mounts for that metal brake. We'll have to cut some sheet metal for the top. But first, we're gonna have to take a quick break because there's a hurricane coming. I already brought in a couple things, but what I wanna do is get our little hot rod mini truck here. I wanna get it pushed away from the doors. So we're gonna go ahead and push this out of the way. Either this thing's got heavier or I got weaker. It's never this hard to move around. Whew. That'll do. I don't anticipate anything happening anyway. I just wanted to get it away from the doors. We got water coming in that high. We got other problems. If there's water getting in my truck, it's getting in the house. Well, that just happened. The trim from our attic access just blew off the ceiling on the count of the hurricane and fell right on the love. You know, if we wouldn't have moved this truck, we would have been standing right there working on this workstation. We're just full of new tools. My parents bought me this one for my birthday. Thank you, love you, see you soon. Well, it's getting a little too windy in here and too warm to shut the doors. But check this out, most of that stuff was on the floor. So it's definitely not a wasted day. Dang. I'll see you guys in the morning. We can finish this. All right, the worst is past us. It really just kind of skimmed by us. Here's the extent of our damage. For all our neighbors up north, we wish you all well. So this metal brake from Vevor uses these clamps to hold this top piece down. That gets clamped over the material you're trying to bend, but I don't want to have to mess around with these all the time. So what I actually want to do is cut that clamp and weld it to the end of the metal brake. So it's a permanent fixture. We just got to slide this piece under it, tighten them down. This clamp is 3/16 of an inch thick steel, so we're gonna try this plasma cutter on it. Looking at this chart on the front, it says 14 millimeters here. That's like 9/16. This thing will cut that. That's pretty cool. We'll never need to cut that, I'm sure. And this 3/16, that's like 5 millimeters, I think. 6, I don't know. But looking at this chart, 6 to 8 millimeters. Steel, 50 psi. So we're going to set our regulator here up to about 50 psi. Lock her down. As far as voltage, I have no idea. Yeah. Start in the middle. Having that pilot wire hooked up is pretty cool because you can strike this without being super close to your work material. Sweet. I'm gonna have to play around with it a little bit and figure out if it's more voltage or more air or less of one. That'll give me a cleaner cut. You can see on the bottom how it kind of... So that's what I want to do. I want to weld it on there just like that. So with this piece pushed off to the side, we'll run this clamp closed all the way down. Give it a trim in there. We don't need any of that. Well, how are we going to loosen it and tighten it now? With a nut. We'll weld it right there. We better let that cool for a minute. That's hot. So that'll work, eh? I think so. Welded a washer over here. Let's keep that ratchet in. We always have it right here to loosen and tighten these whenever we want. All right, we'll put this thing to the test now. This piece here is 12 millimeters. That's dang near ½ inch thick. We need to trim it right there. And I think this time we'll use this guide to put on the torch. Not too bad. I think if it wasn't for my technique, we would have made it all the way through that. But I mean, if I gotta go 2 passes to go through ½ inch thick, and so be it. I'm all right with that. Rarely will we be doing ½ inch thick stuff. I'm definitely happy to have that in my arsenal, for sure. I say it all the time. I try to keep this channel relatable to everybody. I don't want to be that guy that says, all we got to do now is cut out a bracket as I type it into a computer and a mechanical monster spits out a perfect bracket. We're going to use normal tools that are obtainable by the regular guy in the regular garage, doing what we can. And the cool thing about that plasma cutter is it is obtainable by anybody. It's less than $200. But with this code that they gave me to give you, you get 5% off of that. All right, that's awesome. We got the welder down there, the plasma cutter, the metal brake. We got the worktop that opens. 2 different sections. A divider in there. Top needs sheet metal yet. We'll have to grab it from back there and cut it up. I don't want to store it up like this either. But if I store it down where I want it, we got these rods, handles, these things sticking way out. We can't have that. So what I do, I welded nuts on the bottom of it. So that way we can put these handles the other direction. So I can store this down like I want. And those handles are pointed down, not taking up any more room. I'm liking this so far. Morning. What do you say we put that metal top on there? I pulled out that sheet metal. That wasn't fun, but I got it. So we got it right here sitting on top, and I'm thinking, let's see how well this plasma cutter does on the sheet metal. Looking like 16 gauge sheet metal. So if I figured if I put a straight edge a ½ inch away from the line that I actually want cut, I could use it as a guide for our torch. So let's see how this does. And there's a light layer of paint on this too, so we'll see if that creates any issues or if it works just fine or whatever. Let's go. I stopped there quick just so we can look at how it's cutting along our line. That is awesome. That's cutting that perfect. Not bad. We'll cut the other one now. We're gonna save that little scrap piece because we're gonna need it when we're working on this truck. We'll be back on this right when we're done with this. Is it perfect? No. Is it straight? Not really. But will it work? Yeah. Yeah. So for what we set out to do today, it is perfect. Yeah, I think this workstation turned out pretty cool. I like it. I think what it might need is one of them little mini vices, maybe a little mini bench grinder that I can, I don't know, maybe stick to it with big magnets. For anyone that got in on the Pinstripe Garage Time shirt, thank you for your patience. This one is going out tomorrow in some random package. Well, I'm calling it a day. I'll see you in this one.